are now watching the Captain.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to the Dojo. I am joined with a very special friend, a longtime friend, a friend that has not been around too often, but she is back, and I'm glad to have her here to talk about horror stuff. It's my horror bud, Danielle, or Danny. I keep forgetting what you want to go by. I don't know if you just, Danny's fine?
Danny's
okay.
Better.
I'm used to creators like having like their own separate names, and I call them something else. I had to like ask to specify.
No, Danny's perfect for now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Danny, how you been? How you doing?
Good, here, ready to just talk about Beetlejuice. I have a lot to say, but I'm doing good.
Yeah, guys. As she told you, we are here to discuss Beetlejuice. Or for the actual title of the film, it's Beetlejuice. So it's the second one. I guess this is easy. We can get out the way. They're planning a third one. They're turning this into a trilogy from what I've seen. From watching the
smile right off my face.
Yeah. Oh, did you not think that?
I did. Okay.
I mean, that's what I got from watching the film, but we'll get into it. This will be a spoiler reaction. I mean, we can try to be as unspoilery as we can for like the first like 10, 15, but knowing me, I'll probably end up spoiling something by accident and having to double into it.
I'm not making any promises. I have so much to say about this.
Yes. So know this now, everybody. This will be a spoiler review reaction. Well, not reaction because we already watched it, but spoiler review. But yeah, we are reviewing the long-awaited sequel. Well, I don't think anybody was waiting for a sequel to this. This is another one of those movies where like nobody really asked for a sequel, but we got it. And for me, at least, we were lucky to have it because it was fun. It didn't do anything super out of the box for me. It was what I had a lot of the same energy from the first one, in my opinion. And some of the new additions to the cast of being Willem Dafoe. I saw him. I was like, wow, I didn't know he was in this. He was great. Danny DeVito had a small little cameo that was great. And
he looked great. He looked disgusting. I loved his makeup. We'll have to say that.
When I went to go see this, I went to a dine-in theater, so like I was eating food, and I
snuck in Shake Shack, so I was also dining.
I could not eat and watch this at the same time.
Really?
I eat with horror. I'm not really queasy, but I can't eat and watch horror movies at the same time.
I'm disgusting. Like I have a stomach of steel. I can eat and pretty much watch anything. I'm just absolutely gross like that.
Okay, so I can see it, but I can't put food in my. I can't put stuff in my mouth.
No, I absolutely can. I was tearing my burger up through that.
But yeah. Other main new addition to this, one of one of my crushes, Jenna Ortega. She's in this.
So cute.
Bro, because she's like what, 23 or something. Look, I can look at her age right now. Exactly. Her still playing like high school age people is crazy. Well, she's 21.
I mean, respectfully, that is how a lot of high school people get cast. Like, look at the cast of Euphoria. Be for real.
Right. That's been a thing for a while now. I didn't know she was 21. I thought she was like 22, 23.
Yeah, she's still a little baby though, so she can absolutely pull those roles off.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I think she will be able to for a while because she's just like small statured and like very young looking.
She's like 5'1",
yeah, like really little.
Because I saw her because she did Disney. I think originally is where I was first introduced to her, I believe. But yeah, she did her thing in this. We have the legends back in Winona Ryder. Michael Keaton's back in this thing. And it was dope to see them again, as well as what was Lydia? Amy Nutfall. No, that's a different character. That's Jane. Where's Lydia? Not Lydia. It was Lydia's mom. I can't remember his mom. Delia Deeds. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Catherine O'Hara. That was her name. I'm tripping. She's back as well. So we didn't get all of the original cast back. Obviously, a lot of them were either passed away or significantly older, probably, and didn't get a chance or didn't want to, which I would understand as well. But how did you feel about the casting for this? Like, did you enjoy the new additions, old additions?
I felt like it was too much. I felt like everyone was competing for screen time. There were characters that did not need to exist. There was so much going on that I'm going to say something possibly controversial here. This did not feel like a Tim Burton film to me.
Really?
I was wildly underwhelmed and borderline disappointed with this film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, loved. I would say I loved all the practical effects. Those were great, but there were so many opportunities that they could have took and they didn't. And it just didn't feel like, as soon as we're back with Lydia, I'm like, this doesn't feel like Lydia Dietz.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you feel like
Lydia Dietz, and I understand like the trauma that they put on, and that her husband had not her husband, her
Earl's her ex-husband,
baby daddy, passed away, but like, it didn't feel like Lydia to me.
So I'll ask this: do you feel like she like outgrew the role?
Well, she said she couldn't picture her Lydia as an adult and being a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that really translated on screen to me, and like in her role, and like, this sounds kind of weird, but I feel like she took a little bit from her Stranger Things role with like that worrywart thing, and it just felt like that character to me.
That's what I was gonna say.
It didn't feel like Lydia. That's my first qualm.
I feel like if she was going to have a significant other, I think the thing that kind of put me in a weird place was seeing like once you are introduced to her ex-husband in the afterlife, he seemed too sweet and like cuddly for what I would imagine her. I imagine like the Addams Family dynamic with her.
Same, but like that is what they were trying to translate. And like, I get that she grew up, but like she grew out of Lydia. Like it wasn't Lydia to me at all. Even the relationship she had with her stepmother, like, still didn't feel like that. And then the step Delia Dietz felt like the character from Schitt's Creek, and I was upset by that.
See, I'm not mad at Delia.
I was
only because
mad at her, but there was little glimmers of it where I'm like, that almost doesn't feel like Delia.
I'll push back on that one just for the fact because I saw this. I hadn't seen Beetlejuice at all. I was embarrassed to say as a horror fan, so I was like, okay, the movie's coming out. I know I want to discuss it. Let me like go watch it really quickly. So I watched the first one maybe about like a week before I watched the second one.
Okay.
Delia's character seemed relatively similar. She just wasn't she just wasn't as mean-spirited, I guess, because she was a lot more mean in the first one and kind of like a bully. In this one, she's still kind of like snarky, but she was more warm and opening, which again kind of goes back to what you're talking about as far as like keeping the same energy as the original one. But I wouldn't be mad at that because I could understand you saying that, because people get older, they get a little bit softer anyway. Your parents that are like hard on you are like soft to their grandkids or nieces and nephews as time goes on.
I get that like the teen and like the stepmom dynamic was gone between them, but it just still felt a little weird. But I think that is all stemming from Lydia not feeling like Lydia to me. So.
Right. Because she did mention like the whole like, oh, well, you did me like this when you were young and how they kind of repaired it.
Which was cute. I loved that layer because it makes sense. She's like, you're kind of getting what you deserve with your daughter, whatever. But it just didn't feel like Lydia to me. And then like the way they opened the movie felt weird. How you're right, like thrown directly into her ghost show, which like I get it. And then like I understand. I forget what the ghost names were from the original one, the ones that were
the shrunken heads.
No, like the people that the first one was about.
Oh, I can look it up real quick. Go ahead. I'll look it up real quick.
I know I'm being a total shithead. I don't remember.
No, you're fine. I'm gonna cut this anyway.
And maybe they didn't want to be in the film. I get that too. But like,
were they alive?
Because
that was a while ago. That was 88.
In the 80s though. Like it's not like they were old people. Those people were probably in their 30s. They look a lot older in the 80s, but those people were probably in their 30s when they shot that.
That's what I'm saying. Like they look like they were like in their like late 30s and mid 30s in that film to me. But
it was also in the 80s, so we have to take that into consideration. People don't look like they used to. 30 now does not, like when I tell people I'm 30, they trip out. They like absolutely crash out when I tell them that.
I don't believe you at all. I think you're lying to me right now.
A lot of people don't. I don't even believe that sometimes.
Damn, Adam, where do they not have the original names on here? Hold on. It's just so wild.
Barbara was the one lady, is the lady's name.
Adam and Barbara, I think.
Adam and Barbara. Yep. Okay, so Adam and Barbara, I understand if they didn't want to be in the film, but how are they going to casually be like, oh, they don't exist anymore. They found a loophole in time space and they moved on. what?
See, that was the thing that kind of pushed me the wrong way too, because they mentioned a loophole.
Why was
but then didn't mention it again
about that?
What I thought was that they were going to like bring the loophole back around when the romantic interest, I guess, was trying to find a way back over to the other side.
Okay. That's
what I assumed.
That might have made a little sense, but like the love interest, I was like, why is there a love interest? Then I kind of understood why there's a love interest. And then Beetlejuice's wife is coming back, and then that fight was just like, then she just poofs away, like barely anything. She's chasing him the whole movie, and then it's just so anticlimactic. They don't fight, they don't do anything crazy. She just like poofs.
So let's pick at the low-hanging fruit there with not Monica Bellucci is the actor's name.
Yes.
I can't remember it's Dolores. That was her name, Dolores. She didn't need to be in this movie.
No.
It annoys me a little bit because they all the trailers propped her up to be this new big bad, or even at the beginning of the movie, she's supposed to be like when you introduce her in like the first 15 minutes and give her this grant.
It was amazing.
It was fire.
So cool, so fun. Loved it.
And you just throw her away.
Wah.
Granted, I will say this is a thing that may redeem the whole franchise later on in the third movie, because they are setting up for a third one. For what I gathered from the ending of this one, they're setting up for a trilogy here. She'll probably be back for that somehow, some way. And I feel that would be a thing. I don't think that redeems this movie at all, judging it as its own thing. But if they like bring her back and make her a bigger part of the third movie, I could see that being some form of redemption for the franchise and the story itself altogether in a big package deal. Awesome. But yeah, there's no reason for her to give her this much screen time. They gave her a bunch of like, and sometimes it didn't feel like she was in the movie that long to begin with.
I love the little nerdy things that like when she sucked their souls out, they turned into that, and
that was fire.
They looked great. I loved them. Any piece of this that was practical effects, I loved it. I loved that Lydia's dad never has a head, and he's just like spewing stuff all over. I thought that was so silly and just like so fun. But like, I don't know. And then Lydia's daughter, her love interest, that felt weird and like an added on part. And then your dead dad's coming back, and I'm like, can you guys pick a plot, please?
Yeah, they're doing too much with that,
because there is so much going on right now.
Usually with movies, I try to look to see what story you're trying to tell. And when I came into this one, I thought it was going to be like maybe like a passing of the torch type of thing, or like a mother-daughter type of bonding thing. And it made sense. Okay, up until the spirit is trying to bring her to steal her soul, up until that point, the movie made sense to me. Because okay, cool, we're doing this thing where like they're repairing a relationship. She finds out ghosts exist, and she has this new ghost boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Now maybe she'll like go and try to help her mom to get that over, and then Beetlejuice is like trying to get in the mix to mess things up again.
Yes,
that's what I thought the plot was.
Yes.
But then, up until that point, because then Dolores was introduced as well. I didn't know to what capacity she was going to be a part of this. I thought she maybe be like the way that they get rid of Beetlejuice, because he's kind of OD broken. Dude is like a reality warping like demon who can do anything.
Which he barely does in this, which pisses me off. He just like becomes a good guy and just helps everyone figure shit out, and then it's like, oops, your contract is null and void. Bye. No.
That was a little wild.
He's like a trickster. He is a shithead. Why is Beetlejuice not being a shithead in this whole movie?
So, to that point, I'll give slight pushback to that, because he was in the film when they made that contract. He's getting something out of it. He's marrying her. But I did think he was a little too nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he was too nice.
He wasn't a trickster about anything. And like, I don't know. It didn't feel like Beetlejuice almost. It was like a watered down version of Beetlejuice, and it was supposed to be juiced up. Like,
juiced up is crazy.
But like, where the fuck? Why are we saying that?
That was kind of funny. I saw kid moments. Like key moments. There's the scene where he first meets Delia and her new fiance again in like the therapist's office. I thought that was a cool little sequence there. I thought the baby was a little wild, but again, that felt like Tim Burton to me.
Insane.
Like,
like, what the fuck is going on? Like the baby scene with Jenna Ortega at the end. I'm like, what is this?
That was
I literally write this movie because this shit doesn't even make sense at this point.
Okay, so there are parts. some of the more kooky stuff I'm cool with.
I'm not saying I mean, I kind of hated a lot of it.
No, I'm saying like, so that part in particular at the end with like because this is kind of alluding to the setup for the third movie. I thought that was cool. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the what's the word I'm looking for? Not conversion.
Maybe I just feel this way because I feel so much like strongly about the first Beetlejuice, and I knew the film intimately, and I've watched it since I was little, and I've watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it.
Because I've only seen it once, and I haven't seen too many Tim Burton movies outside of this. Sweeney Todd. I haven't seen Nightmare Before Christmas yet. I'm gonna watch that.
Please watch it. That's another movie I've been obsessed with since I was a little girl. I've absolutely loved that stuff since I was.
So I'm not like in-depthly familiar with his style outside of like the aesthetic that he goes for in a lot of his movies.
But that's what I'm familiar with. I didn't even feel like it was directed by him.
I'm curious how much he had to do with it.
I don't know. I don't know. But it felt very detached from everything about how he directs. I don't know how the script sounded, how the plot was. I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't Tim Burton to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with the scripting.
Like, I immediately went home and watched the old Beetlejuice again after I watched the first one. I wanted it to feel like the first Beetlejuice. I know it's not the first Beetlejuice, but there were specific qualities that they could have taken from the first movie and worked them into the second movie. Like, the original Beetlejuice is 80s tacky and like 80s inappropriate. 2024 tacky is what I got out of this, and it's not like 80s tacky, if that makes sense. My question would be like, how much of that do you think ages well though? What do you mean?
In regards to like some of the humor, some of the, not the aesthetic, but a lot of the things that made that first one special, I feel like were special for the time they came out in.
Sure, but like the claymation sequence was weird as hell. Why is there a claymation sequence in Beetlejuice? If you're going to use claymation, that has a very specific function in Beetlejuice. In the first one.
You're right.
So, like, them throwing in a claymation scene, I was like, what the literal fuck is happening? Why are we watching Beetlejuice and watching a claymation scene?
There's a lot of like fan service in this in regards to like callbacks to certain characters and dialogue moments and things like that I think Burton tried to push a little. Again, I don't know. Who wrote this? Does that have the writer attached to this? Because I don't know how much he had to do with the writing. I know in the first movie he didn't write that at all. Okay, so the writers for this are Alfred Gaw, Miles Miller, and Seth Graham. I believe I'm saying that right. Seth Graham Smith. So yeah, Burton didn't write this one like he didn't write the first one. I'm curious as to who wrote the first one, because I feel like this may be somebody's adaptation of what they believed the first movie to be. So I can look that up really quick.
Yeah, it didn't feel the way Beetlejuice should feel. It wasn't creepy enough. It wasn't appropriate enough. It wasn't scary enough. And like the original one told the line of inappropriate in a different way that this one did. I can't explain it. It was just like when they told the line of inappropriate, and this one was just like, I don't like that. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, so
words.
They're completely different writers for this. The three writers for the original one were Michael McDowell, Larry Wilson, and Warren Scarron, I believe. So I think that could be the main issue there. Like, there's three different writers for this one versus the three different from the 88 one. So that could be a thing, because it did feel like Burton tried to like capture a lot of what he normally does. Because if this movie had a more cohesive, like streamlined plot and better written, I think the movie would be fine. Like, for me, it was like a solid like.
Really, just like irked me, and also the use of CGI when we didn't need it.
So what parts in particular did you dislike?
When all their faces are all morphing. There's a scene where like a bunch of everyone's faces are all morphing. It's like the crowd. I forget which.
When they get sucked into the phones?
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't need to see, like, Beetlejuice is not about seeing somebody's face transform. Beetlejuice is about practical effects, in my opinion. Like, when we look back at the iconic parts of Beetlejuice, it was like when Adam and Barbara have to morph their own faces. Like, why didn't Delia Dietz get to do that? That would have been such a cool, fun thing for her to be able to do. And it's
it felt like
got to see the transitions in the old one, and that's what made them great.
It felt like they were trying too hard to be symbolistic, because the exact thing I got from that I saw, it was pretty simple.
Yes.
Because they were trying to set up the whole thing of like, oh, all these influencers are here, they're getting sucked into their phones.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get why, but that felt
but
like it didn't fit.
No.
Like if you would have
we could go through each one of these bad decisions and be like, I get where they were trying to go, but they missed the mark with it, and it was it necessary for it even to be there? Probably not.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm curious to see how many people enjoy this that did not grow up on the original, because that's the thing I'm noticing with a lot of these like sequels of horror films, or even just films that were coming out in like the 70s and the 80s, like with Indiana Jones and whatever it may be, is they're always trying to update these stories for the modern audience. And I understand that thought process because you want to like get new people on board. But I feel like in doing that, sometimes it works. Sometimes you get something like the Scream franchise where we got a good couple of movies out of this that felt like they were not super forced, I guess, in my opinion at least. But in instances like this, I feel like you're better off just running back a lot of the original stuff that you did in the first one.
That's what they should have done, because when I was little, I became obsessed with the original Beetlejuice. When I was leaving, I literally heard a kid complaining to his mom. He was like, that was the cheesiest thing I've ever seen. Like, it was cheesy in the wrong way. It reminded me, it was very reminiscent of when Hocus Pocus 2 came out, and I was mad disappointed with that. It felt like that. The musical choices in this Beetlejuice, I'm sorry, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy.
What was that? That did not make any sense. In the first film, it makes sense. Do it again in this film, but make it not the worst songs that no one's ever heard in their lives.
I can't. I'm not too mad at that part of the music. Again, I didn't enjoy it either. But the first one, like the Banana Boat song, was the most random thing possible.
It is, but these other ones are random in a bad way. That one's random in a good way because they were able to use the music. It's the sound of the music. It's the sound of the song. Like, that song is literally recognizable by an entire generation because of that movie. If I heard those songs again that they put in the second one, I wouldn't be able to tell you. That's like some random white dude singing. I don't know who the fuck that is.
To play devil's advocate, though, I think that has more to do with the movie, though. Because, again, I don't know how old you were in 88.
I was not.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how recognizable that song was prior to that movie.
It wasn't, but the sound of the song was so much so that, like, if you heard that on the radio again, you'd be like, oh my God, that's that Beetlejuice song.
Yeah, it was. Okay, I see what you mean.
It's not giving the same thing in the second one.
It's not as infectious. It doesn't.
Exactly. It's the sound of the song. It's the feel of song. It's the timbre of the instruments they're using. It's the timbre of his voice that is, like, so much more recognizable.
Which, funny enough, they didn't want that in the first one. Like, I can't remember what studio produced this, but they didn't want that whole sequence, and they said you can put the whole movie out, but cut that out. And I think Burton threw it in last minute, right before it hit out.
Love that, and it's perfect. It's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff here and it felt like they tried to double down on it being more horror, or at least more intense. This movie felt a lot more intense than the first one.
It wasn't more intense. I didn't feel like it was more intense. I felt like the first one was way darker, had way darker humor. Like, the one woman literally refers to killing herself, and the whole romantic interest, if they're gonna make the kid kill his parents, he's not gonna fall out of his treehouse and die. He's gonna die in two ways, and we know which ways they are, and they just weren't comfortable enough to come out and say it.
Well, they said he fell from the cops trying to bring him out of the tree or something like that.
He would have literally been shot by them, or he would have taken his own life. And in the first movie, they refer to many people taking their own lives. And it's like, this movie is about that. This movie is about being inappropriate. It's about it's Beetlejuice.
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? It's not about towing the line of ooh, this is kind of bad to say. It's going fully into it with Beetlejuice. He literally was molesting Barbara in the first one. I'm not saying we're not doing these things, but this is Beetlejuice. He is a literal demon.
And I think that has to do, again, like with updating it. Because
Exactly.
I expected him to be a lot more out of
I
pocket.
want make it PG-13 then. Make it so little kids can't see it, and then they really want to see it.
What was the first one? The first one PG-13?
Probably not. I mean, it was the 80s, so I don't know. It's pretty inappropriate.
I'm curious.
But like, it toes the line in a way that I could watch it when I was little and I didn't understand all the references.
It was PG. That's insane. That movie was PG.
And 88, if they ran that back,
Oh my god.
he literally like grabs himself in that movie.
Yes. And like put a mirror underneath Barbara's skirt. Like that's you got PG off of this.
This is what I wanted. I wanted Beetlejuice. I didn't get Beetlejuice. I got a watered down version. It was not juiced up. It was juiced down.
It was dry. It was no juice in this at all.
There was no juice.
It's one of those things where I'm starting to get to a point with movies where I critique them, obviously on like how good they are, but I don't get as mad because I put them in one of like 3 categories for me. Either excellent, like a really well done movie that I really thought was well done and I enjoyed. Then there's like, you did what you were supposed to do. If you were a comedy and you got a couple chuckles out of me, cool. You did what you were trying to do and you got the job done. If you're action, like a Fast and the Furious movie, you did what you're supposed to do. You gave me the action, you gave me some cool lines, some fight scenes, cool. And then there's just like the outright bad. I will put this in the middle of the 3, honestly. Like I felt like they were trying to give this like family, I ain't gonna call this a family movie. It was not supposed to be, but it felt like they tried to make this more family friendly.
It's a family movie now.
Yeah, I think that's what they tried to do. And I think they got the job done. Because
They got it done, but in the worst way. And and like for me, that makes it bad.
Because I feel like if I take the legacy away from it and I look at it from just it being purely a movie, it's not a horrible movie in its own right. There's a lot of like directorial and writing choices that were bad in comparison to the first one. And even in this one, to an extent, like again, bringing Dolores in this when it was like not needed whatsoever. And you were kind of lost in some of the writing aspects of it. But in the whole main storyline plot, or at least the main theme of them trying to have this mother-daughter tale of them coming together, they got the job accomplished by the end of the movie. And it worked out at the end. Like that was the central theme. They stuck to the central theme and got it there. All the other stuff in between was kind of murky, but I don't like, for me, I'd probably give this like a 6.
Pardon?
I give this like a 6 out of 10.
Oh shit, that's high.
So I have fun. I have fun watching it. Again, a lot of this for me is because,
don't get me wrong, I giggled a little bit. I probably cried a little bit during the mom and daughter scenes because anything having to do with like moms, it makes me cry because I love my mom so much.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I'm rating it as a regular movie, maybe it's like a 5. If I'm rating it as Beetlejuice's sequel, it's getting a 3.
Yeah.
Like, it missed the mark for me entirely.
Granted, I probably have a little Jenna Ortega bias in there. I'm not gonna lie.
You 100% a 6 insane, and I get it. You can give it the 6 because of her because she deserves it. But like, it's just not what I expected and not what I wanted.
I feel you. I think part of me too is that I didn't go in with any expectations for this.
Yeah, my expectations were in fucking space, to be honest with you, and it just it all came crashing down. Like the opening scene, I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Now, a question I want to have, a little bit of a conversation I want to have, now that we've kind of got the ratings out the way, more about Tim Burton himself as a director. I don't have much of an opinion on him as a director, because again, I haven't seen too many of his things. I don't think he did anything super, like, at least from what I've seen thus far in like Sweeney Todd and this movie. There's another Tim Burton film. Oh, the Batman. What am I tripping? I'm 89. Batman 89.
Those are my favorite Batmans.
How did I forget about that?
Those are my favorite Batmans.
They were.
That could probably fucking stress some people out, but like color in them, the effects in them, I love it. Michael Keaton, I love him.
I don't think it would stress too many people out. A lot of people love it.
Okay, good.
I have like my own reasonings that.
Sure. Get it.
I don't hate it.
I like how serious. They're serious, but they're not. I like that. I like that a lot about them.
But what would you say is like some things that make Tim Burton's movies great as from a directorial aspect? I don't know how much writing he does. because I don't know how much writing he does, but I know, again, most of his directorial stuff is like the aesthetics, the presentation, atmosphere.
Aesthetics for me, and the atmosphere that he brings, and the people that he's able to bring together to do that, and the way that he brings the right writers on and the right like studios. And I also love any like of his claymation films. I just like the teams that he builds of people to make these things. So it's like, whether that's his artistic eye and his ability to see that in other people and bring them together, I feel like that's what didn't land for me on this. Like, sure, artistically it was pretty cool, but even I hated the way they styled Jessica Ortega.
Really?
Yeah.
I will say the sweater, the see-through sweater thing was kind of wild. I was like,
that was fire. I loved that. I loved that shot. But like, if it was Lydia's daughter, even if her daughter didn't like her, I felt like she would have been a little bit more goth. Like, a little bit. Like, that's what we wanted. That's what I wanted her to be.
When we cast Jenna Ortega, and in our mind we see Wednesday Addams, and
of course we do.
I'm like
I wanted a little bit more of it. I just wanted a little bit. Just give me that, please. You know,
I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought the see-through sweater was kind of inappropriate. At least for me. If you're telling me she's in high school,
that's interesting.
Granted, I as a grown man understand that she's an adult. I can have certain thoughts about her as an adult. But when you're telling me in the context of this film that she's supposed to be high school age girl, and then you give her a sweater where I can see through her top, I'm just like, I'm conflicted because the grown man in me knows she's grown, but you're telling me she's 18. You're telling me she's not an adult.
Not even 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one wardrobe thing I did like was when they had Lydia dressed in pretty much the outfit that she like danced in at the end of the thing. That was cute. That was the only.
So they tried to run back like some of the choreography from Wednesday.
I felt that, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I like the literal like the monster mash shit they had to do in the movie.
Like I was like, get it. I saw the little nod, but like this isn't fucking Wednesday. This is Beetlejuice. So they just, I don't know. There was a lot of things that shouldn't have happened in that did, and then a lot of things that I wanted to that didn't. But as far as it being Tim Burton, there was just like a layer of darkness that I was missing. They casted. It's like they made Beetlejuice too goofy. That's what I didn't like. Yeah. I wanted him to be more scary and disgusting and less goofy. And it felt too goofy to be a Tim Burton film.
This is like a perfect case to me of like a chef having all the right ingredients to make something taste great, but not putting things in the right manner in regards to putting them together. I love the casting for this. I thought Willem Dafoe was an amazing choice for this. Jenna Ortega playing Lydia's daughter, if you wanted to give her daughter, was like, I can't think of any actor that could have had the role better.
Perfect. The casting was amazing. I loved the casting. The casting was great. But like, even William Dafoe, like, why, like, there was some, like, he got too much screen time. What are we?
They were getting money's worth out of him. I know they paid him a bag.
Why does he have a fucking catchphrase that doesn't make sense and he keeps saying it? This is the fourth time you've said it. I get,
He's
like,
having fun.
He was tearing it up, but like, why are you doing it in Beetlejuice?
You could tell they paid him a certain amount of money to come on for that, and they were like, "Yeah, we getting our money worth out of you."
They did. That's
we're getting our money's worth out of you.
That is exactly what it felt like. There was just competitive screen time, and it just didn't feel right.
And I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, that was tough. That's tough. That's tough. But yeah, we gave it our ratings. We pretty much talked about this movie to exhaustion at this point. Is there any other things you want to kind of add in before we were to close out on this particular topic?
No. Say about that, I'm mad. And if they come out with the third one and it's even worse, I'm just gonna pretend like they don't exist and only watch the first one forever.
And part of me feels like they recorded this stuff back to back, because I'm like,
oh, help me.
It's got to be, because I'm like, Jenna is like, she's about to have this.
They gotta run it before she literally grows up.
Not even that, like, she just is busy now. Like, she has, I know she's recording, I don't know if they finished filming for Wednesday for the next season of that. I know that's coming. I know the next Scream is coming for her. I know there's got to be other stuff she's going to be in soon.
I enjoyed that Scream movie, actually. I really enjoyed that.
The last two she was in, I think it was it 5?
I didn't even see the last two. I only saw the last one that she was in, and I enjoyed it. I had no idea what the fuck was going on, but I enjoyed it. Go
back and watch I think it was 6 was the first one she was in.
Okay.
And we could probably watch that together sometime if you want.
All right.
That was, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's great. She's one of my new favorite actors on the scene right now. Mostly she's a Scream queen. I'm like, we don't have too many of those. Well, she's not even, can I say a screen? Well, not from the original.
She's a horror queen now. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like she is typecast, but not in a way that she's stuck in one specific role. Like, she does have like some breadth of like, you know, acting skills, so she can play anything, but she's just falling more into this horror category, and I love it.
She's getting into like Jamie Lee Curtis like range right now.
Yes.
And I'm hoping she gets more respect from her
Me too.
throughout her career, because they did Jamie Lee a
like
little
she
bit
doesn't?
dirty. No, I mean, up to this point, I don't know yet. I know with like Jamie Lee, like they didn't give her, like with the Oscars for
You're right.
for everything, everywhere, all at once. I was like, she was great in that movie, but she was far from the best supporting cast in that.
Yeah.
And you can tell that was a scenario of like, yeah, we haven't given Jamie Lee anything over her whole career that we should have given her, so we're just gonna throw this at her.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not the case for Jenna, which I think should be fine. I think she's been in enough diverse stuff, from like You to Wednesday to all the other stuff that's been like hit stuff she's been in. I think
I forgot she was in You. I forgot about that. That's where I first saw her. Okay.
She'll be fine. I think she'll be okay. And I loved Winona Ryder in this. I thought she was great. I thought Michael Keaton did his thing as Beetlejuice again. It's still so weird to me seeing him as that character, because I'm like, this does not seem like you.
See,
but it's him.
Michael Keaton, it's just like, I think of that. I think of that before I think of him being Batman. Before I think of him being anything, I think of him being Beetlejuice.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all, that's all I have to say on this movie. I guess Danny said this is all she has to say as well. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about this movie in the comments below. I'm gonna try to do more horror reviews with Danny, and hopefully we can get Kaori on at some point. Those be like my two horror homegirls that we discuss all things spooky and scary. You guys can expect this October. I will be doing trying to get it down to where I can do a horror movie from Shudder a week and have a review out on this random movies from there. So those videos I don't expect to do crazy well, because the movies aren't like mainstream, but for the love of the game and the love of the genre, I will be doing those. Just finding random movies on Shudder, watching them, and then covering them. I want to lean more towards Shudder originals, but if we find something that's great on there that we want to take a look at, we can as well. But yeah, guys, this has been Captain Diesel of Captain Diesel's Dojo and Miss Danny, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.